Are we live? We're gonna have to check and see how these audio levels are for the mic, just because I've got to set it differently for doing this kind of stream versus any other kind of stream. Kind of dim. Oh, one of my bulbs burned out, like right as I went live. That's cool. How are you guys doing? Am I on live on the right channel? Should be. I have no way of knowing aside from when people are talking in chat. It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep. It's 6:01 for me, so I might be streaming on the wrong channel. Let me make sure. Ah, there we go. Just took it a second for it to actually pick up. Hey, how are you guys doing? It's live on Arcade. I'm gonna turn the advertisement around so that way you guys can't tell what I'm drinking. In fact, let's just take off the label. I mean, yeah, there's like a testament thing in the background, but you know, that's cool. How are you guys doing? Are my levels too loud? Are they too quiet? If I turn this way, can you still hear me? If I'm like looking over here rather than over there, I have no idea. I feel like I need to adjust the camera just ever so slightly. That looks a little bit better, don't you think? You're okay? Been good? Alright. So, on the docket for today is not doing any tutorials or anything like that. People were like, yeah, I wouldn't mind if you just did art while you were streaming. Raise it very slightly. Okay. Like, are we talking like 5% or 2%, or what are we talking here? Let me turn it up just about so. This is me talking towards the canvas. Can you hear me? Okay. Cool. Anyway. So, realized a couple of things were happening very soon here, and I wasn't ready for them. Namely, one, I don't have anything for my mother for Mother's Day. She's super cool. And two, I don't have anything for Sunday for this week's video. So in both cases, I'm a little bit off my game. And I haven't been painting very much recently. Try and paint, you know, paint on canvas at least once a week. That was my New Year's resolution to kind of, it doesn't matter if it's good, but just paint on canvas every week. And I guess we should go and get started. And I can ramble while we're doing stuff. So anyway, we're just, I'm doing something for Mom. And this is not really a paint along. You can go and just do whatever you feel like doing. I'm gonna crank some jams real quick. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. 2 birds, 1 brush. So we're gonna start with some random jams that I've been working on, and then move into Kevin MacLeod. Kevin MacLeod will be songs 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and that should put us into like a 2 or 3 hour mark, and that should be fine. Sound good? Ah, I need to be able to select all of them at once and then hit play. There we go. I feel like this is the better of the 2 ones that I did. I need to also make sure that this is set up. Take off the lens cap, it's probably a good idea. So I'm just using some basic, cheapo Liquitech basic paint for this. Just for the beginning part, because it doesn't really matter. It's going to be the undercoat, so she won't see it anyway. Don't really have a topic or anything in mind, just figured I'd be doing some art. If you guys want to join along and do your own art, maybe do something for your mom or someone else who's worthy of that in your life. I don't know. The main issue I've been having when trying to write music for this channel is that I can write like a 3-minute to 5-minute song, but writing a 15-minute song that's not super annoying are, I don't know. It's a little bit harder. So, what I'm doing today, as far as what I'm painting, is I gave my dad a Cardinal, like, you know, the bird, for Father's Day or his birthday or something, I forget. And they've been loving that. It was in style of someone or other, I forget who. And I'm not really into that dude's style anymore. Like, it was like a year ago that I was into that dude's style, so rather than do something that looks exactly the same, I figure I'd do something similar, because they're both avid bird watchers now. Okay, good. For a second there, I thought I didn't hit record. That would have sucked. This journal area I want to be blue. So I gave him a male cardinal, and I figured it would be nice to complete the set with a female cardinal, even if it's not in the same style. I should probably look up who that other artist was so you'd know. We're working on a fairly small canvas. This is the canvas size I normally use for pretty much everything. Egg was on this size. This is kind of the space that I have to do art in, so. I'd say it's been about a week since I painted, so I'm going to be very rusty, and we're going to have to go over the same bits over and over and over again. If I don't paint regularly, then it starts to show in my work. It's kind of the reason that, you know, Artcade exists, is that way I don't have long periods where I don't do art. For me right now, a long period is about like a week or so, but, you know, that's not as bad as it used to be. After I graduated art school, it would be sometimes a couple weeks to a month before I do like a painting. And it's just, I don't know, that's bad. So. I figured, here's a problem I can solve. I'll just make a channel where I do art. Why aren't we on Twitch? If I can be completely honest with you guys, doing this on YouTube, like, really helps out the channel. I can kind of break it down for you if you guys want. Can I do that? Can I do what? Can I delete my own chat message? Oh, the weird Lemmy face? I don't know why that's... Don't drink your paint water by accident. Nah. My real water's over there, my paint water's there, my Coke's there. We should be okay. Alright, so that's probably good enough for a background for now. Make multiple channels on Twitch? Maybe? I don't know. I don't really think I'd want to. The reason I'm doing this stream on here is... So in order for your channel to get all of the fancy bells and whistles for YouTube, you have to have a certain number of things, certain list of things. One is 1,000 subs. We hit 1,000 subs, so that's easy, that's good. Then we gotta have 4,000 viewer hours, you know? And 4,000 viewer hours is a little bit harder to do. Because 4,000 viewer hours, assuming that each one of those 1,000 subs watches like 4 hours worth of stuff that you make to completion, you only need to have 4 hours. But that's not true. Because no one actually watches the video to the full length. So, if I stream on YouTube, it actually counts towards that thing. So in other words, I can speed up the channel getting stuff like notifications and stuff that you just sort of expect a channel to be able to have, and yet doesn't. So by streaming on here, I can kind of cheat the system a bit and skip to the part where I do have all the fancy bells and whistles. I'll probably end up... Ooh, that's too much water. I'm just going to kind of sketch out where I want this Cardinal. So, I don't know if I completed my thought, but basically I'm doing a female Cardinal for my mom for Mother's Day. We hung out the other day and... notifications would be nice. Just everything is sort of locked behind that wall at the 4,000 or so mark. 4,000 viewer hours. And it's gonna take me, you know, making 30 minutes, it's two 15-minute videos, 15 to 10-minute videos a month. It's, you know, 20 to 30 minutes worth of content every month. So 1,000 subs at 30 minutes a month, I need to have 4 hours. 4 divided by 2, or times 2 would be 8. So I need to go for 8 months with 1,000 subs. Or I can skip everything and just stream every now and then. Jeez. So... I feel like I've made it too big. I feel like I'm gonna regret that here in a minute. I'm just kind of sketching in where I want some stuff. Because, like I said, feeling rusty. And it's not gonna be this big, and we're gonna, like, paint some of the blue over it, but, you know. Gamification is pretty alright, but why does it have to be so tedious? It's whatever. I don't know. YouTube is... not the best platform in the world, but it's pretty much the only one for videos, so everyone has to do whatever YouTube says. There have been other attempts at other things like VidMe, and there's another one before that, I forget what it was called, but something else, and they all fail because it's too expensive to have a service like YouTube running. But then YouTube doesn't curate its content at all, so... kind of woke up in a funk today. Because I saw... I think his name is David Firth? Is that right? The guy who did Salad Fingers? He used to be huge into, like, Newgrounds when I was a kid. Hence my Flash game addiction now. But I noticed that he got demonetized because someone claimed his work and it was acting like he was the one copying the other guy's work, but it was his animations. Animations on YouTube is just a bad idea in general, because you get paid per minute, and you know, each frame is several minutes worth of time to create, if not hours in some cases, and then you got to do that for 23 frames per second. 23 frames per second times 60 times, I don't know, 4 minutes? I don't know, something like that. You can start to see why it's a little bit of a fool's errand to try and be an animator on YouTube now. It's actually the reason why Let's Players are so prevalent on the platform, is because back in the day, there used to be views that you'd get paid for. Now, it's viewer minutes. And 30 minutes of viewer minutes is pretty easy to do on YouTube with, you know, vlogging style content or, you know, video game content. But if you're an animator, and then someone says they want 60 FPS animation, that's cute. But you can just double, triple, yeah, it's about double the length. So So, shorter, well-crafted content is not as well received on the platform, which means that basically it's a bad idea to do it. So anyway, I noticed that he got demonetized because someone claimed his... I don't know, and that's such a weird situation because it's like, in order for that to happen, someone would have had to have convinced YouTube that they were the original content creator, then claimed it, because YouTube doesn't step in on stuff like that unless if they do. I don't know, it left me in a bit of a funk this morning to just see someone who's making legitimately good content, creative content, regardless of what you say about his animation. It's a little bit out there, a little bit creepy. So, it is super weird, and it's, because I remember Rick and Morty being just streamed. And the reason it was getting away with it was because I think it's Fox who owns Rick and Morty? I don't remember. They hadn't put out claims on it yet, so YouTube didn't intervene because they're like, maybe they want it to be here. I don't know. It was weird. It's to prevent them from getting hit with digital Millennium Copyright Act stuff. As long as YouTube's not complicit in the copyright claims, then we're fine, as far as YouTube's concerned. So, it's a little bit of a bizarre scenario, because it shouldn't have happened in the first place, based on everything that YouTube's ever told us. But of course, it's sort of implying that YouTube is above board and honest about everything they do. So, anyway. But then me and Tilda went out and we went to a place called Salado, Texas. It's really not much to talk about. It's a town of 2,000 people. Compare that to whatever the compare that to the size of your maybe high school or something in your hometown. It's mostly old people. Super nice. Lots of painters, lots of artists, so we looked at a lot of art. How was your day? What is this painting about? I'm just doing something for my mom for Mother's Day. So nothing deep. Generally speaking, when I make something for my parents, I'm not doing like the deep philosophical stuff. I just try and make something pretty. Which is mostly against the way that I do art. I don't like trying to make pretty art. I'm not a huge fan of that. I try and make things that are aesthetically pleasing to me, that other people may not find pretty, but I just find pretty. I enjoy. When it's from my mom, my dad, and my brother, I'll do something that's a little bit more traditionally aesthetically pleasing. And, so, went and found a picture of a cardinal on the internet, and gonna do it a little bit different, but generally speaking, you know. How many paintings have I given my mother? I'd say that's pretty much standard for what I've given her since I started college. Or since I started art college. So it's probably been 8 to 10. Somewhere in that range. And those generally don't go up on the website. Drawings, pictures here and there throughout the years as well, but I don't know. I don't know enough about animation to really, like, talk about stuff, but I have a general concept of, like, you know, one drawing, give or take, you know, sometimes you can kind of bootleg it by, you know, repeating the same backgrounds. You just got to draw the characters in a different pose, and you can use, you know, different animation tools to make it look different without doing the whole animation yourself. But generally speaking, you got to do a different drawing every, you know, well, 24 drawings per second, which is brutal, and I'd hate it. 30 frames per second, frame by frame animation is the maximum limit. I mean, unless if you're an absolute madman, I'm sure. But that seems already like a fool's errand. But, I don't know. Every time I hear about something with YouTube, it just makes me sad. So, getting out and going to this small town in the middle of nowhere was good for me. I needed it. I feel like this song is somewhat annoying past like the maybe 5-minute mark. And 60 FPS and 30 FPS and all that only really matters when it comes to video games, because then it's number of inputs per second as well. It's like 30 frames per second, but you can only put an input on a frame. So 30 frames per second is half as responsive as 60 FPS. And so on and so forth. So it matters more. But with animation, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen those soap operas where it's like 800 frames per second. And it's super weird looking. It's getting a little tiring, isn't it? I'm gonna skip to the next song. This one I feel like is worse because the music is like, the audio is much more, I don't know. The notes are... I still haven't finished this one, basically. And it's because the beat I'm not really a fan of, and... See, that seems too sudden, where it comes in there. And the piano itself is really, like, there in the mix. It's not as, like, atmospheric. I feel like at the 15 to 20 minute length songs, you have to make something atmospheric, rather than something that's, like, an actual song. Do you know what I mean? Well, thank you, Mafa. Thank you for always being cool in chat and being a good guy. That's a little rough. Let's just get rid of some of those marks. And we know, kind of generally speaking, where that bird's gonna be. That's why I didn't really block it into, like, the most, like, pure thing. I don't know, the music came from me wanting to, not depend on anyone for anything when it comes to this channel. It's a little bit weird. Because it's just like, I had a nightmare that Kevin MacLeod would come by and copyright claim exclusively me. And it's also just like a point of pride. It's like, you know, if this channel does well, then it's like, this is entirely on me, you know? No other source came in and did anything. It was just me talking, me doing art, me making the audio, me making the everything. You know, I didn't make the canvas. I didn't make the paint. I could, I guess, but I think there's a reasonable level that you can say, no, I think it's okay if you didn't do all of it, you know? What Coke am I drinking today? I am drinking a nondescript name brand soda that I've decided to remove the label from, so that way they don't get free sponsorship. I'm being weird about it. And see, like, that's basically where the song ends, and I can't figure out where to go with it from there. You know what I mean? The music's been the same song for the last couple of weeks because of the fact that I can't do it. So anyway, this is back to Kevin MacLeod, but yeah. Paint the cap, you can see what brand it is. You have to think about it at least. Kevin MacLeod, I feel like, does a better job of this because he's actually like a professional musician who's been doing it for years, rather than me who's like learning music theory in order to prevent me from going into a panic attack. So, you know, he's got a little bit of a leg up on that, as opposed to me. That might be a little loud. I turned that down just a bit. They have YouTube royalty-free music. Yeah, but, you know, I don't trust that that's not been remixed by some SoundCloud rapper who's uploaded his entire music library onto YouTube and is now copyright claiming anyone who uses it. YouTube might actually allow that. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe inadvertently. Not like specifically trying to be like that, but maybe just accidentally they're like that. Today we're also using golden paint for the most part, aside from the Liquitex that I just used and the Winsor Newton black. The Winsor Newton Mars black that I've been using it's not because I really like Winsor Newton. It's because I have this huge tube of it and I can't get rid of it because there's so much of it. So, weird thing about female robins is they're actually kind of boring looking, and that's kind of just how birds are in the wild. Just like the males are the ones that have the cool color pattern, but they're kind of pretty in of themselves. And since my parents like watching birds, they'll know. They'll go, oh, that's really sweet, and they'll like it. So we'll get this. I think it's less this brown and more, what black is it? It's Mars black? Yeah. I mean, honestly, black doesn't really matter shade to shade. It's just sort of how glossy is it, and also, well, it matters once you mix it. Once you mix it, it starts mattering. So I feel like that needs to be like a little bit lighter. So I'm going to use actual paint. Actual golden good paint. Golden is good, but it's so much more expensive. But yeah, we went to a bunch of art galleries in Salado. Salado's cool. If you ever decide that you're coming down to Texas, don't know as if it's like a place that I should say you must go. But, you know, it's alright. We ended up spending like next to nothing because all the galleries were free. There's a cool candy shop on the square, and I just dropped my brush and got paint all over my nice pants. And I'm getting paint in my hair, and I got hair on my canvas. I have actually screwed everything up. It's great. Let me see if I can get the paint off my pants real quick. Almost got paint on my guard. Later, Mafa. I don't see what could be copyright about samples in music. Well, you'd think, but yeah, that's in there pretty good. Good. I got paint on my pants. They're nice pants. I wore nice pants to my art stream. Well, I kind of didn't figure I'd drop anything on them. I kind of figured I'd be an adult and not an idiot, but that shows me. Without Hydration Bot, we've lost control of our lives. We don't know whether or not we need to be drinking water or not. Yep, I definitely got paint on my pants. We're just going to try and ignore that as best as we can and pretend like it didn't happen. And then someone will mention it, and I'll be like, that's a weird thing for you to mention. If someone tried to copyright my art, I would absolutely go to court. I wouldn't just stop at YouTube when it comes to that. No rest for them. They're gonna have to deal with me at my meanest and worst. And it's just because, I don't know. The reason I kind of don't like doing art streams is because I care about it. Did the guy who stole my video ever contact me? Nah. It had been up for a while, so he made his money. He probably doesn't care. It is what it is. YouTube's system doesn't allow me to do really much of anything aside from copyright claim him for it, and then hope that that is enough. I mean, he stole a bunch of other people's... I just dropped my paint again. You know what? Let's just go ahead and put this apron right here. We're going to clean off what we just did, and we're going to put the apron in our lap. I don't know. Each passing day, I feel like YouTube is less and less of a platform for creative people, for people who want to do something good with themselves and with the world. A laprin, if you will, yes. And YouTube is slowly turning into a place where the PewDiePies and the Logan Pauls of the world can thrive. And if you like their stuff... If you like PewDiePie's stuff, I get that. You know, he's not just an awful person. He sometimes makes, I guess, good content, but Logan Paul, I don't get you. I don't get you if you like his stuff at all. It all seems... I haven't watched much of it. Maybe that's my issue. But it's hard for me to justify any of his behavior. Maybe it is because I haven't watched much of it. What do you think about DeviantArt? Personally, it's bad to me, like max level of mad. I used to do the DeviantArt thing, and I'd always get upset that I didn't get the daily deviation. But to be fair, my art wasn't very good back in the day. So, probably that's why I didn't get it. You know what I mean? We're gonna go until I run out of battery, by the way. We're probably not gonna be able to finish this today. I found my medium through art school. I think how you should find your media is probably just doing art until you do something glorious that you really like, and you really like the way a media looks. I kind of like how oil looks better than acrylic, but acrylic works better with the way I live my life, you know? I can put this to the side like minutes later and it's dry. Oil may never be dry, you know? That's kind of rough. These are generally speaking the right colors, like close enough. Let's see, now where is my brown? I also don't normally use golden paint, so I kind of don't know what color looks like what with Liquitex, but it just makes for a better painting. Like if I were doing commissions, which I thought about doing, I was talking about it on Stardew Valley the other day when I was playing with Hootie, and you know, I could do that again, I guess. Just always feel like there's a weird power balance difference there. Like I feel like the people who are asking for my art when it comes to commissions are mostly people who just watch me because of video games. And then they see that I do art, and they just want something that's essentially just signed by me. But I think I talked about this last time. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It just feels unfair. It feels like I'm abusing my position, and that I'm getting sales out of them because of me being Rev, and not because of me being Colin Mullin the painter. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense to me. This is just the kind of things that I worry about and think about, so this looks really washed out on y'all's screen. Wonder if there's anything I can do about that. It's also kind of a weird angle. Is it actually that color? Thing ran out of space, did it? Or is it... Are we good? Are we good still? Looks better on the DSLR. Okay. Stop that recording right there. Let me see if I can fuss around with the colors for a minute. See if I can get this looking a little bit better. Sorry about this. I need to let the paint dry anyway, so... Configure? Is that it? No. Color. Chroma key. Color range. Audio. Output device. Is there a way to do that easily? Configure. Advanced settings. Oh. Oh my. I noticed Elgato actually has like a thing where probably don't want to crank the gain too much. It's probably get it a little bit closer to try and fix it a little bit. I think that's a little bit better. That's a little bit closer to reality. See how pale I am. That's about right. So I need to fix some of this blue down here. Oh, I should probably turn on the camera for that, shouldn't I? I noticed that Elgato actually has a hookup for DSLRs. So that means that I could be uploading directly onto my computer every time I paint. I don't know what the hookup for that's like. I think it's like USB to like something or other on the DSLR. That seems amazing. That seems super good. Being able to record directly from that, and then you guys would get the visuals from the DSLR rather than my Logitech. So I've just taped the Logitech to the top of my DSLR. That's why the camera angle is relatively the same. The music reminds me of Minecraft. He has done some work with Minecraft YouTubers. I think he might have done something for Minecraft as well, but I'm not totally sure on that one. So yeah, there's a reason for that. Someone want to confirm Kevin MacLeod doing work on Minecraft? I feel like that's a thing. Need to add more white to this because that looks too. Also got some black in it, and that's turning out okay. Like that's a little washy, but I want to be a little bit more painterly on this one anyway, because I don't know, aesthetic. All right, let's go with this dude here. This dude will probably work fine. Now I'm doing something really bad, and you shouldn't emulate. Do as I say, not as I do here. But I'm gonna end up accidentally giving this guy a little bit of a halo, and I'm actually gonna fix it rather than say do as I say, not as I do. Because if you paint right up to an edge and then paint away from it, everything gets this like little halo around it. But yeah, who did all we see today as far as painters go? A lot of like local, I don't know, feels like Salado is just for like old people. I hate to be like that, and I know that they have like a school system and stuff, but I don't know how you live there. I don't know how you'd have a job there. Everyone we met was super nice, but I don't know how you'd have a job unless if you made it yourself. Everyone kind of had their own place, you know? nor has any of his pre-existing music been used in Minecraft. Huh. It feels like a retirement kind of town. But it was absolutely perfect for us to kind of like do a do-over on a picnic. We were going to have a picnic the other day. We went down to Zilker, and it was like 1,000 degrees out, and it was awful. And so instead, we ended up kind of pulling out early and going to there instead. And I feel like that was a better situation. It's a few hours away from Austin. It's about an hour. I don't know why I said a few. It's like literally an hour away from Austin, driving north. But it's lots of cute shops, and you know, apparently the painting capital of Texas, which I don't know. I think they said art capital of Texas, which I feel like is a little bit overselling it a bit. I feel like there's just as many galleries in Austin as there are in Salado, but Salado is also a town with 2,000 people, so maybe that's where they're going with that. As they get bigger, they'll add more. That's coming along. That looks okay. It's a little bit rushed, a little bit weird in a couple of spots, but I feel like we can work with that. Let's fix up this bit here. So I'm liking it, but it needs to be... I would probably put the orange in for the beak now, actually, even though it's a little early to doing any detail work, because A, I don't really know what I'm doing today. I feel like I'm a little off, and B, it would be good to just be ahead of the game. So orange. How do we get orange? And that color orange. I don't know, orange is sort of it's mostly red, honestly. It's like orange. It's like a naphthol light with a little bit of yellow. Probably like Hansa yellow medium. Should probably put these to the sides, that way I can write down the list, that way people who want to imitate this later. I probably won't be selling this like print. I don't know why. Just won't be, so. But I'll do an arcade for it. You know, I'll talk about whatever in front of it. Is that right? It's more red than anything else, but that's about right, honestly. Alright. I'm trying to reduce the amount of time that my art takes, that if it takes more than 20 minutes, I just drop it. There are some days where you're going to be rusty, there are some days where you're just going to be having a bad art day, and it takes a little bit longer, you know? For the sake of having, like, consistent, quick work, maybe for other people, I can get where you're coming from, but, like, it's not a good idea to be rushing yourself like that. That's very much a personal opinion. I like to take my time. When you think about the old masters, like, you know, Da Vinci and stuff like that, those dudes had years to do it. But nowadays, you're expected to do art in, like, I don't know. You need to be pumping out stuff on the daily. You know, just masterworks. But we also have less time to be doing stuff, you know? Like, Da Vinci really didn't have anything else to do aside for art, you know? So, maybe it was a little bit more practical for him to spend all that time. And he was getting paid regardless, but we live in a different society than he did. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer to that is. It's kind of why I do like 2 a week, or 2 arcade videos a month, because I'm sometimes very inconsistent in my work. And rather than expecting myself to be on my game every week, I can kind of give myself a break, and if I have a bad week, I can just sort of roll with it and, you know, go, okay, next week's the week that I make art. You know, try and do art every week. Try and make something that's arcade worthy every week. but except when sometimes I fail. And I'm feeling like this one might fail. I'm not too happy with how it's going. I'll be honest with you. It's pretty sketchy. And I'm just kind of off my game in general right now. Feel a little bit tired because, I don't know, we were out in the heat all day and... I don't know. It depends on what you're asking, I guess. I think, good art takes some time, but practically speaking, being able to pump out like 1,000 images a day probably wouldn't hurt you. I mean, like, that's kind of how Warhol and them got where they got. They turned their art studio into a factory. They gave up some of the creative control and all of that to randos, and then that they hired, and just told them, you know, make this. And now that's just sort of the way big name high art does their job. Like, you... my paintbrush... My strokes are just awful today. I'm just not a fan of them at all. This happens. We'll see how this turns out. If it turns out going horribly, then we just won't leave this up on the channel. Do I remember the Alamo? Most of the time. But sometimes I forget. Someone goes, "Do you remember the Alamo?" And I'm like, "What's that?" It was a horrible joke. I feel like the idea of like a machine that just 3D prints whatever you're thinking directly onto the page is sort of the wish for all people who haven't gotten to the point where they can just put what they want onto a canvas. But like, that's literally what it's not about. Like, the idea, everyone has great ideas when it comes to art, you know. They think they know best, they think they know what makes beautiful things, and they feel like they can do everything right. But what makes an artist is that they do art. Like, they actually do it. You know, it doesn't matter how, they just do it. So I feel like a machine like that really doesn't change anything. And it's sort of the dream of people who don't want to spend the time to learn how to do a skill. But, you know. I mean, like, see, here, let's talk about this song again for a second. This song's been going on for like 20 minutes or something, and it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it's been going on for 23 minutes. And I feel like the difference with this guy, with what he's doing, is that he, it's so atmospheric that you don't really think about it. It's just sort of there. And I need to write songs for the channel like that, rather than like, I don't know, traditional music. There's no drums. Huh. Does that mean that we or later viewers are only allowed to see the best of you? Personally, prefer seeing some imperfections because it's honest. Oof. You have a point, but I hate it. I'm gonna come back and do that, actually. I'm gonna try and get that all in there. So then there's some like red here-ish. It's like a different red than the orange that I've been using, but for some reason I've still loaded up my brush with the orange, and I feel like that orange is wrong. Maybe that's it. I need to be using a smaller brush for this, I think. And then that's like... There's something like that. I need to get a smaller brush. Let's use like the smallest brush I've got. It looks better actually from like the Logitech camera than it does like actually in real life, I feel like. Which is great, because you guys are like, wow, he's such a good artist, he's just beating himself up. But in real life, it actually doesn't look very good. Which I'm fine with. Actually, I'm not fine with, because this is supposed to be like a gift, you know? Yeah. That's kind of what I'm saying there, too, guys, that the skill itself, the brush strokes, the, you know, learning how to use the tools, is a lot of what makes art art, in a lot of my opinion. I don't know. I don't like that the fancy, like, ritzy high art types don't list all of the people who worked on the project as okay, that's just still wet, and that's why it's weird. Okay. I need to dry this off because that's not good. You don't think that red looks too good? Yeah, it's a little too dark, isn't it? I need to use like a more vibrant red. It looks super dark on y'all's screen, like very washed out. Maybe like a contrasting red? Is that how you pronounce this? Oh, this is the slow drying stuff though. It's almost pink. The real life is sort of like, I don't know. Yeah, this is too pink. That's not gonna work. Maybe pearl red? Is that right? Maybe. Maybe. Might use that instead. Let's see how that looks instead. I think you guys might be right. GoFundMe to get Rev better lighting. I mean, there are people, I don't know, I get why people are doing Patreons now. I feel like every YouTuber and their brother's like, I said I'd never do Patreon, but now I'm doing Patreon. And it's like, yeah, it's because YouTube has been in a really rough spot since the beginning of the year. Like, a really bad spot. I saw it coming, though. That's why I took that, you know, part-time gig. Is just because I knew, I looked at the analytics and I saw it happening, and I'm like, something's up. YouTube's about to do something stupid. And then they did. And then they did. This red isn't right, but I continue to move my arm, and I'm continuing to put more of it on my canvas because I'm an idiot. See here I'm doing it wrong still, and yet I won't stop because I'm an idiot. Yeah, let's stop touching that. So let's see, we need to have a little bit of, I made like a brown black. And I need to have a little bit of it like right here. Now that I hope that this area has dried. I don't know, there may not be an Artcade video this week, considering how this is going. But I'm going to try and power through just to make this at least a 2-hour stream, just for the sake of y'all having something to watch. The red looks okay now, but the yellow looks kind of washed out. They kind of are like a brown color. And so it's sort of a brownish yellow. It's not meant to be like a real strong yellow. But that yellow is just, I don't know, on the beak, it's not right. And I want to fix it, but that paint's still not dry. And it just won't dry. I'm doing everything in my power to make it so that way I don't have to depend on stuff like Patreon. Because I already have people sponsoring me on Twitch. But I just don't want to. It's my own personal pride at this point, more so than it is any good actual financial decision, I'm sure. I'm just gonna keep making a bad decision here. So that's what I do. Hoverbird. This is a lot easier to do, or this is a lot harder to do, I should say, than editing a stream or something. A stream, you know, to make 2 hours of stream, I just play video games for 2 hours. It's considerably easier than painting for 2 hours. Hey Natalie, welcome back. This is still like a little bit tacky. Not super wet, but a little bit. I've been recording this whole time, right? Yeah, okay. And then I probably shouldn't be too exact with my brush strokes around this area because I'm gonna get rid of some of this beak, I feel like. I don't think it's quite right, you know? No shame in painting an ugly bird, or ugly birds exist in real life. True, but this is supposed to be a gift. It's supposed to be pretty. And so, kind of is an issue. Video games are a form of art. I agree. And that's something I try and point out with Artcade, is that, you know, they're pretty. It's also this weird idea that we're making stuff that's super pretty, but hyper violent, you know? I really love Squad and Day of Infamy. They're super violent when you think about it. You know, Tilda doesn't like to watch me play those games because she thinks they're too violent. She's right, they are very violent, but you know. You said your parents are bird watchers. Well, they set up a birdhouse in the tree out in front of the yard, so inadvertently they become bird watchers. It gives them something to look at after work, which is cool. So they don't watch a lot of TV. My dad plays guitar. My mom, she used to quilt. She doesn't much anymore. She mainly just buys fabric and then doesn't use it. And the bird's starting to shape up into a direction that looks like a bird, I feel like, you know? I'm trying to do a bird that they would actually see. I believe, I don't know enough about birds to tell you whether or not this is like what birds look like what a cardinal in Texas looks like, but I'm hoping that they've never gotten a good enough look at one to know either. But if anyone would know, you actually point out that it'd probably be my parents, more so than me. They've got this weird crest. It's super weird. Like, it's just red here and here-ish, and then red down here as well. I think the trick to his songs is he has no drum beat. I think that's what I need to do for my music, is I need to, if I'm going to have it in the background of my stuff, no music, or no drums. Just, you know. I feel like I'm actually headed in a better direction than I think I am. But the voice inside my head says not so much. The brown ones are females. Actually looks pretty good on the DSLR. Looks very picture book. but her chest, I should say, her chest, because a lady needs to come out a little bit more, which means that this needs to be tucked back a bit. Should probably come back in a minute. Can I fix it now? Nah, I'm gonna have to fix that later, because that black is still wet, but generally speaking, something like that. And then just, you know, and that's some sort of, I think that's cat fur. Why is there cat fur everywhere? Thank you, Sarkath, for being there. That sounds about right. Yeah, generally that's how it works in the animal kingdom. The lady animals look considerably less interesting than the dudes. Survival of the fittest or whatever. That is an ugly color. I don't feel like it's right, so we're gonna get rid of it. I do feel like there's a little bit of yellow, like right along that area. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I can paint over that and make it right. But I feel like that's approximating the right color. Ooh, some red got in there on accident, but kind of blended quite close to right. Zarkith. Zarkith. Is that a real word? Like, is that a word I should have learned in college? I don't know. This one here, I think is fine. Clean off my brush a little bit better than I have. I'm also out of Kleenexes because I've been as real of a word as Kel'Thuzad. Gotcha. Also, if it like, if you don't see your message appear in chat, or if I respond to someone and you guys don't see who I'm responding to, it's because they're censored. Because YouTube has like really strict, like no cussing club sort of thing going on. And I'd reach over there to like allow it, but like I'm also in the middle of painting, so avoid. Also, it turns out the word ugly is a cuss word according to YouTube, just so you know, because someone was talking about painting an ugly bird a minute ago, because some birds are ugly, and it censored that one as well. So if I'm responding to something and you don't see it, you just got to switch it from top chat to live chat. Oh, is that what that does? All messages are visible. Oh, I see. But Jetistotle's thing right before he said diluted chemistry within the cells to blah blah blah, there's one from that as well. I am serious. I don't know. Deal with the random whims of YouTube for a minute. I'm sorry, I'm just in a bad mood today when it comes to YouTube. It was literally the first thing I saw. I woke up, and I checked, you know, Twitter. It was the first tweet I saw. It was the first experience I had this morning, was reading this guy who I looked up to as a kid. I'm like, man, someday I'm going to be a great animator that people will love and respect on Newgrounds, like Egoraptor or David Firth or someone. And then I just didn't learn how to animate. And then I just went and did my own thing for a while instead of that, and ended up doing something else. I don't know, as a kid you have a lot of dreams that you don't really actually care about, but like, sort of. It's like a little bit too big. How's the YouTube platform so far? It's pretty bad. It's pretty really bad. But, it's the best one that's out there. It's the best way to host videos on the internet. Even Twitch is trying to do it. And if that's news to you, it kind of describes why I don't do it. I tried it, but there's no discoverability on there. No one goes to Twitch to go watch a still video that has been already, like, been very precisely edited and stuff like that. They want live. They want live stuff. Did Egoraptor ever actually officially come out and say he's not animating anymore? I feel like it's for the reason I was just talking about, that, you know, it's just not cost effective. You know? He can do it as a passion, as a thing he likes to do, but, you know, that versus doing Game Grumps, I mean, I don't know really why you would do it, aside from just because you like doing it, you know? YouTube does not treat its animators well. And admittedly, he is trying to treat the animators that work for it well. But, you know, there's only so much you can do. We need to... It's starting to shape up. That almost looks like a real bird. Starting to get there. So, I don't know. Oh, did we run out of battery? Or are you just running out of, what happened there? Nope, we're about halfway done. We're about to run out of card space. Should probably buy another SD card. So that way once one runs out I can switch to the other. Not really a point really, because it runs out of battery almost exactly at the same time it runs out of card space. So it's sort of like, well, I'm done painting for now, I guess. Alright. Let's try and get this eye in here. Somewhere in this region. And it's about this size. Yeah. YouTube is all made out of AI at this point. It's true. Now, is that actually a perfect circle, or am I just doing that because I feel like it should be? I'm just doing that because I feel like it should be. It's not actually. It's more of this shape. There we go. A creepy, vapid, soulless eye. Without any... need to add a little bit of black here. Some brown. I actually do like the little, like, I don't know, it's got these weird things coming around its eyes. It's like, got a very grumpy look to its face. It's not going to be the best painting I've ever done, but that's okay. It's okay to have a bad painting every now and then. It's kind of cute, actually. It's starting to get there. I need to add a little bit of white and just grab a whole chunk of white here and mix it with some tan. medium. It's a little bit too much paint on the brush. I bought this brush the other day, and I'm super in love with it. Super, super nice because it's so fine. I can make like tiny little adjustments rather than huge ones. It's nice. Okay, and I can sneak in maybe a dash of red here. And I can blend that in with some tan. Which is my way of saying I accidentally added too much red. I'm going to act like it was intentional. And it actually worked out. Looks alright. It's more or less right. I don't imagine my mom's ever actually seen a bird this close. Or cardinal anyway, because they're pretty skittish. And they are birds. Not really good at surviving unless if they run away from things. It's pretty much their modus operandi. Run away from stuff so you don't get mauled by something. Fair enough. Birds downtown are pretty chill. City birds generally are pretty chill. They don't really care too much because people just want to chill with them and give them food, and so they've adapted to people not being predators. But like wild birds, they don't know anything. The camera's flashing again. It says 7. 7. Which I think is the number of seconds before it turns off. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Click. No, you're down to 6 now. I don't know what that means. Is that minutes of time left that I can film? Who knows? It's not right at all. I should probably fix this area, yeah. It's more of a brown. Need to bring some brown to some red. Make this color. Oof, that's not right at all. It's a little bit more white. You guys can't see what I'm complaining about. That makes them more burgundy. It needs to be more brown. Could be that there's a little bit of blue in the white. Forget, am I using titanium white? I am, that's why. So colors, white and stuff like that, have like a couple extra colors here or there in it. Just because you can't get a pure color like you can on a computer. Or if you set, you know, red, yellow, or red, blue, green to, you know, 1 or 0, and it comes out as white no matter what. But with paint, you know, in order to get white, you got to mix stuff together. Usually, it's a heavy metal like titanium, and it's not like a pure white. Pure colors like that don't really exist, which means that you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and that's why there's different colors of black. Hence why I was saying, when you're mixing colors, sometimes it comes out as something, sometimes the different whites and blacks are different. Just something you get used to after a while. It's going to come out as more purple than I want, because the slight amount of blue in titanium. Recording has been stopped automatically. And I assume that's because the card's full. Okay, cool. So I'm going to have to transfer that stuff over real quick. We got just a little bit more time before the battery runs out. So let me anyone have any art here that they want to share with the class while we're having an intermission? Because I need to transfer stuff over on the SD card so that we actually have some room to paint more with. Don't draw the legs, nobody will notice. Draw the legs eventually. Drawing your first Sona right now. There's good money in furry stuff. Just can't get into it. If you have something you want to show me, just go and tweet it at me. I feel like I need to fix this area right here. Like I need to bring the brown out a little bit more, like here. Did I plug that in? I didn't. Okay. And you may lose camera just because my computer does not like having this many things plugged into the USB device not recognized. That's cool. I don't really care. Can I send you something that is nothing to what... Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right now, Alondro. Like, just send me whatever art. Send it to me on, like, Twitter. Just, like, at me. And I'll give you my opinion while we wait. It's actually not a full... Oh, that's because the SD card isn't that one. Assuming it's not like, maybe I should buy a new capture card. I mean, I don't really have a capture card for this. So I don't really know what you're talking about. Make a new folder in my painting folder and my videos. We'll call this one Robin, I guess. It's a Robin. No, it's not a Robin. What is it? Cardinal. Bird. It's being called Bird because I can't remember how to spell Cardinal. And sent. Okay, let me check the old Twitters real quick. New window. Then I should probably pop it up for you guys. Alright. Can I just look at the... I feel like there's just one right now. A lovely bird. It's coming along. Let me give you guys a screen reach into that. Also, could I just like... Could I just zoom in and do this? Oh no, that looks super weird. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit bigger. I can't actually zoom in any better than that. That works. Alright. I mean, don't DM it to me because I'm not going to be able to see it like that. There we go. Here's an art by Mothfather. In-work project progress for character Wayne from... I don't know what that is. I actually just bought my first set of paints today, so this is the first time for me. Still proud of it nonetheless. It's good. Yeah, paint is rough, man. Oh, you guys can't see it fully. Yeah, it's coming along, man. Rev, please, before the stream is over, can you show Mo up close? If she comes on by. That's going all right, man. Is that the moon guy? What is the name of that game? I guess it's this. Black that out for a second, just that way if this is not what I think it is. Yeah, it is that. There's a guy who used to come by stream all the time who's super into this. And I never knew what the name of it was. It's funny. Give you that screen region again. I just Google image searched it, right? You'll never guess who's there. Refresh, please. Just notice that. Akuma no Robin? Yeah, they're still around. Don't see any new arts. Make sure you're adding the right RevScarecrow. Rev_Scarecrow. That's who you're aiming for. I have no idea what Helix is. Ah, there's some art. Let me move it over to a new window. Show you this art. I need to get better lighting in here. Just looking at the live stream for this, and it looks a little bit rough. All right. So we got this from Hat Guy. Drew a thing for my mom. At RevScarecrow, don't like the right horn personally. So the right one would be this one. I think it needs some detail in order to prove that it's behind stuff. It kind of looks like it's in a weird spot in front of things. And I think that's the issue you're having. It's not too far off. Honestly, a couple of lines that just suggest that that's behind, and you'll be fine. It's really not a huge issue. And then we got this one from Nordgardus. Downgraded art. Basically, they're extremely limited. No layer editing. 2 brushes only. All colors. So good. And limited resolution. Mouse only. Taking a break from drawing with professional art software and a tablet. That one's alright. I feel like this one and this one are a lot better. I like this one the most, but I think it's just because I really like black and blue. That looks really solid, man. I'm liking it. Hadn't heard of that. It's a nice challenge. I did that with, when I was doing the, let me see if I can find that real quick. Maybe I can. There it is. I did a, well, no, that's not it. Coffee helps. Soda helps too, but apparently not as much as coffee, because they said coffee instead. We got this one from Florentine of mine. Drew this on my phone last night after a few panic attacks trying out a new app. It was super difficult to work out, but this is pretty okay. Phone apps are really rough, and trying to actually get something that looks good out of a phone app is really hard. Oh, that one's looking really good there, Alejandro. A little gift for a few friends. Don't mind the text. Okay, I'm just going to ignore the text. It doesn't look like it's in English, so it doesn't really change anything. But it's looking good. There's something going on with the pinky there. I'm not entirely sure what. But I like it otherwise. It's coming out good. Finding precision when you're working with a phone is going to be super rough. Did you hear about Hobby Lobby stealing ancient artifacts? No? Oh wait, no I did, yes. I don't know, I haven't shopped at Hobby Lobby in a while. I'm not a fan of their business practices or them as a company, so I just... Is he drinking coffee out of a bottle? Can you imagine? No. I'm not that much of a gremlin. was thinking maybe once or so a month I could do a stream like this. See how it goes. Just do whatever I was going to do anyway for Artcade. And just stream it. The problem is that I have to stop halfway through. Should just buy another SD card. What kind is this? It's got to be a certain kind. Delkin devices, SD, high capacity, read write. Okay. I don't know. Let me see if I can find that. Maybe I can find a thing. Let's see. SD card. Super exciting watching me Google something where you guys can't see it. SD card for camera. It's got to be like the faster one. Looks like 25 bucks. And then battery for what is this? Rebel Canon E05 Rebel T. I ended up getting it on a really good discount. T5i. T6i. Lithium ion battery. Looks like somewhere in the $25 to $50 region. Don't know if it does me any good to really have the battery switched out. Because the issue is that the stand that I have and the way that the camera's designed is that the battery is actually inserted from the bottom, and then the spot where you put the camera onto the spinny thing, the actual stand itself, is right next to it. So in order to get the battery out, you have to take the camera off the thing, which means that I've got to stop anyway. I don't know, it's a little awkward. I feel like I could probably finish this in another hour, give or take. In order to make this stream more exciting, you stream while painting. Yeah. If I get some like punk bands or like a metal band to just be like chugging along in the background, doing whatever. Normally when I'm painting, I actually do listen to stuff like that, but you know. I think I said it last time. There's no really good royalty-free metal and punk music. It's all really generic and awful. The atmospheric stuff, it's like, I don't know. I feel like people don't really like listen to atmospheric music all the time. It's just water anyway. Another art stream tomorrow to finish this? Probably not. I got work tomorrow, unfortunately. I might just finish it off stream. I don't think you understood what I said. Probably not. Kinda dumb. Probably shouldn't say the word dumb. Might be considered a curse word on YouTube. Movie soundtrack, yeah, same sort of thing. I think I just put paint on my head. I'm checking and see how the paint is on like my pants. See if I can clean that off. I mean, super exciting viewing, but I guess, like you said, shouldn't really worry about excitement levels with this stream. It's more about just doing a thing. Maybe if I get it under some hot water. I don't know. Tilda might be angry about this. Will I show the finished product on this channel? Yeah, I'll probably, I mean, I'm recording it right now with the DSLR, which is why we're waiting right now, because we're waiting for the footage to copy over to the computer, and then I can start painting again. And I need to wait for this to dry anyway, so it's probably for the best. Uptime, well, I can tell you, we We've been up for about an hour and 30 minutes. There's no uptime command here. You can make it more exciting by flipping the camera. Just start flinging the camera all over the place like... Super exciting. It's coming out okay. Let's see, what do I need to fix? I need to fix its back. It needs to have a more pronounced back. I need to fix its wing. It's a little bit weird. It needs to have legs. Its tail feathers need to be fixed. But this area right here is okay. That's coming out okay. Almost. Need buff arms. I don't know if my mom would appreciate buff arms on the Cardinal. The beak needs some work. It's not quite right. The red is okay. The yellow is not. Are you done? There we go. It's gonna be sitting on a branch? Yeah. I'll edit it in a branch in a minute. She would, trust me. I would suppose you do know my mom better than I do. I've known her for about 30 years now, and I don't know. There we go. Now the card is clean again, so we can eject it. We can put it back in the camera. So it seems like I need to do about 50 bucks in order to get this set up, so that way I can double my work time. And then just replace the battery and the card at the same time, and then have it transferring over. That would make sense. Like, replace them at the same time, have this battery charging while the other one is being put in. That would probably work. Then I could just keep working. That's pretty expensive, though. I don't know if it's worth it. Alright, back to work. Alright, cool. So this needs to come in a bit more, which means that I need to add some blue. I feel like I almost want to wait on that. But my hand is compelled to do things that my mind tells it not to. So we're going to do it anyway. Get the lap apron back on. Need to probably figure out what I'm talking about this week as well. I talked about it a bit on stream, on the Shopkeep stream I did. But I've been playing a lot of Warhammer, and I feel like that's sort of a mental brain drain on me. Because it's like, it's creative, but like not in a way that's helpful to me in any way, shape, or form. Like, it uses a lot of the same, I don't know, thought process pathways that when I'm just sort of like thinking, I'll think about like, what can I do to improve the channel? Or, you know, what can I be painting next? Or what can I talk about? Do I have any good jokes that I could be coming up with right now? You know, what if I talked about this on stream? Would that be interesting? You know, that kind of thing. But lately it's just been like, what if I add 10 more conscripts and take out a such and such in order to get, you know, another Bulgrin in? And it just ends up, I don't know if there's a name for that. I suppose it's just called having a hobby. But it seems like it's immensely bad. But also, again, I'm not thinking about YouTube analytics. Like, the numbers that I'm running through my head are instead like how I can squeeze in an extra, you know, bolter or something, rather than how to improve the 5%, you know, change here or there. So that part's good. I like that. I like thinking about YouTube analytics less. It's made me happier. So I guess it's useful. Thinking about work less. guess it's work. I don't really mind my work, but just YouTube. YouTube scares me. Any random move it does is extremely alarming. It's like a caged animal. Either it goes well or it doesn't. Alright, so I had a nice tiny brush. Where did I put it? Did I put it in my lap? There it is. Dumb. Band. Okay. Let's put just a touch of white. Do I have any white paint left? I do. Okay. Super steady hand for this. Is that right? It's not quite big enough and it's a little bit too high. And then I need to add a little bit of black to cover up how high it went. So it went slightly too high. It's about right. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think you guys can, but it's there. And then I need to... What's going on there? The beak needs fixing. Still need to fix that beak. I add some superb. Add some more yellow. This beak is all sorts of messed up right now. But I can only do little bits of work on it at a time. Because it is a small area. Which means that if I put down the wrong paint, then it blurs into the other paints. Until it dries. So I've just got to kind of put some paint down, hope that it's the right color, and when it's not, come back to it in a minute. So like that area is wrong, but it's fixable because that eventually needs to be white. Is that right? That's about right. And we're about to run out of battery, so we're about ready to stop. Which is unfortunate. So I need to do more work on this. But, you know, you can only do as much as you can. So. Or I can only do as much as I can. I don't know. Getting back to what Punstar was talking about. Yeah, it'd be great if I was a faster painter. They were talking about for themselves, but it'd be great if I was faster. Could crank out more videos, but you know, I don't know. I don't really mind taking my time, doing it right, and leaving to myself with something I really like. Looking great so far? Well, thank you. Can I add a little bit of yellow without it being super weird? Not directly yellow, but maybe if I add in a little bit of that brown we've been using, and then add it around here, it looks like a highlight rather than me adding yellow. Can I add a little bit more yellow and get away with it? Maybe not quite as much as that, but if I'm bringing in the... I can bring in a little bit more brown if I need to. Does that look right? That provides a little bit of a highlight, and then you can bring in a little bit more of that brown and bring it around like this. There we go. Now we got a little bit of shaping on its face. It's a little bit too intense right there, so we'll kind of fade it out a little bit. We're going to change this up anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. The bird looks incredibly cross. Birds just look a little bit miffed all the time anyway. You're still wet? Yeah, you're still wet. Of course you are. Is there something that gives your mind some peace? Something that you need to think about that just makes you feel at peace? Something that makes me chill? I don't know. But I don't have a good answer for that. It's probably why I have anxiety problems. But playing video games makes me calm. Doing art when I'm not on any sort of time schedule or crunch, that's nice. You know, there's a very different thing when it's art that you're doing for yourself just for fun when you got time, versus art when you're doing it as a commission or when you're doing it for keeping up with a schedule or for a show or whatever. I remember one of my teachers laughing at someone who came in and was like, "Oh, you do art? That must be very therapeutic." And then she just started laughing at them and they're like, "What? Art's easy, right?" No, it's not. It's not a calm thing. 'Cause if you're a little bit off with most things, you're fine. But with art, it doesn't really work. So yeah, I don't have a good answer for that. It's looking alright, actually. It's starting to come along. I don't know how much time I've got left on this battery. I want to fix that wing in the very least, so that way you guys have an idea of where this is going. It will be the one that comes out on Sunday. This painting. Unless if something goes catastrophically wrong off camera. I feel like it's going, or it's headed in a good direction. So I'm pretty confident in how this is going. I mean, Tilda's always my rock. You know, if I'm having a bad day, she'll pick up on it before I do, really, and she'll be like, "You know what? Let's go take care of you. Let's go do such and such." And it's like, I'll just be grumpy about it, and then we'll go do it, and then you know what? I feel great. So, I don't know. Props to her for knowing me better than I know myself. That's a little bit too dark, but I can kind of work that in. It needs to be a little bit more gray, so I need to go... and then that's just in this area. There's a little bit of that going on. I'm kind of working too much on the details rather than the large picture stuff, but makes me feel better when I see like a lot of the details starting to come together. Is this dry enough that I can paint on it? Yes, actually. Surprisingly, it is. We're gonna have to do a couple of coats of white. Until I'm actually confident in how that looks. But something like that. I mean, you guys can say and do whatever you want in chat. For the most part. I mean, you know, normal chat rules, but... Twitch is also a little bit more forgiving when it comes to its ban list on words. It's almost as if Twitch knows what they're doing. Is it just me, or does this bird look very angry? Birds just kind of look angry. I should probably make it a little softer. It is like supposed to be a pretty thing, and not like a "Arr!" thing, you know what I mean? So how do we make it less angry? Don't quite know. And then we need to just come by with a little bit of red. Am I real? No. I'm fake. I don't exist. I've never existed. No one real has ever existed. I guess I could probably get mods rather than just depending on YouTube to do it right, but I don't stream on here enough, and if someone's being especially bad in chat, I could just, I don't know. The chat's not exactly moving a mile a minute, so I'm not too concerned about it. They do have, like, very dramatic eyebrows, so it kind of makes them look angry. Gonna make this a little bit more orange, a little bit more red. That's sort of getting right. That white is a little bit off. It's not in quite the right spot. It's close, though. It needs to be, like, here. That just turn off? No, it's still good. It's coming along. It's coming along. I'm liking how it's coming now. This is why you gotta stick paintings out. Because every now and then, when you're like, this is going horribly, I hate it. Turns out okay, and you're like, cool, I'm glad I stuck with it. Let's see. I need to probably not use pure red, actually. I need to use a little bit of brown, a little bit of red to get this actual color that I need. It's like mostly red, but there's a little bit of brown in it. There's maybe a little bit of white as well in order to lighten it up a bit. Or I bet you it might be... Is it white or is it yellow? No, it's white because it's saturated. Not quite as much as that. It's a little bit like that. Sort of and that needs to be a lot lighter right there. So we need some more white. A lot more white. Have a real light version of it. Let's see. And then this guy. So did you guys actually see Zarkith speak there? Directly after Nordgardist? Looks like he did. Okay. I can't tell, because it says held for review. It's like, what does that mean? Does that mean that it actually, like, no one saw it, or, like, what happened there? And apparently it means nothing, so that's cool. That's good to know. Yeah, I think I figured out what's going on with Kevin MacLeod. He doesn't have a drum beat, which makes sense. That's what makes it monotonous. If like there's just no music and there's just the sound of running water for like, I don't know, a solid minute, you're not really thinking about it. You're like, yeah, that's alright. But if it's like running water plus a drum beat for like a minute, you're like, what is going on? Drum beats can be relaxing. True. But they're very obvious. It's obvious when you have a drum beat going. Whereas this song has not really progressed for the past like 3 minutes, and I don't think anyone's noticed. Ah, my nose is itchy. Allergies and all that. Super bad right now. That's why I have no paper towel or Kleenex. Clean up my brushes with. I normally like to use Kleenexes. Wouldn't recommend it. It's actually super wasteful and isn't the best way of doing it, but you know, who am I to know what I'm doing at any given point in time? And then this needs to be a little bit tanner. Like through here. Lots of fine detail brushwork in here. I feel like that's a little bit better. It needs to have a couple of little bits where it's a little bit darker brown. Like here and here. And then we need to mix that in and blur it in a bit. You know what you could do to make it relaxing? Reverse piano. Seems like an option. For sure. We're gonna end this stream as soon as that runs out of battery, because I literally can't progress any longer past that point. Why don't I use the mains? Because I can't with this camera. It's not a possibility. It's a DSLR. It's meant for taking pictures, but it happens to also be good at filming, and so I'm using it to film, because then I don't have to buy 2 cameras. I can just have one really nice camera, and then when I need to take pictures for prints and to show off on the website and stuff, I have like a 1080p or a whatever style camera that I can take high resolution images with as well. And that needs to be more red over there. It's that dirty red, not an actual red, but like kind of a brownish red. Kind of repeat it again. Not quite that, but kind of close. It's actually fairly vibrant through there. I think the sun's just hitting it quite right. Just right through here. No, you're good. I kind of didn't explain it. So that camera is actually just like a whatever Logitech 720p, good for, you know, face cam sort of thing. It's the camera I've got, and, you know, saving money where I can by not buying extra stuff. It's good enough for this stream. You can tell what I'm doing for the most part. Like I said, Elgato has a thing. It's like a capture card for DSLRs, which sounds like the ticket, because then we're just running off battery power. We don't have to worry about the card running out of battery or running out of space, and then stopping and switching it out and transferring the stuff over. We can just, you know, keep going. And it also means that stream is getting the visuals at 1080p, which means that I could probably just edit straight from there, you know, just from the stream file instead of a separate file that exists literally just for the sake of having a one for the actual Artcade channel later. Might try streaming this earlier in the day. I've been saying that about, like, video game streams for the last little bit. But, I don't know. If I stream earlier in the day, it means more Euro Bros can show up, and also, I can compete with, like, The Price is Right. For when you're sick, you can just lay in bed. I don't know about y'all, that was the thing. Price is Right and Wheel of Fortune and stuff like that when I was sick growing up, because there was nothing else on. It's looking good. I'm liking it. How are we doing on battery power? It's flashing. It's not a good sign. Let's get the red over here. Oh, I already have it. It's not the right red though, so I'm gonna fix it. This is so raw. Setup is not enough ambient light. Yeah, normally when I'm streaming, if I need to turn on the light, that's what I do to make sure it runs at a solid 60 FPS. The wings look great. They're looking okay. They need a little bit of work here and there, but I really can't get into it because the paint's still wet. Like right here, I really want to have like another line there and a couple other little details like that throughout here, like this. That's looking a little bit better. And then I need to add the feed in at some point in this area. I'm a little bit scared to do it. That's like 11 a.m. for you. So you're still studying art. I think that's because it's the only time I could stream. I don't know. It's been weird to see the numbers change with the game whenever I stream a different game. Certain games get more views, and I feel like Shopkeep is one that's getting a lot more. So I'm thinking maybe Subnautica is just kind of dead in the water. That was a pun. I need to move on to something else, which is fine because it's almost over. So I'll finish it off. I feel like finishing it off because I like it. But I'll probably move on to Frostpunk after that. Frostpunk looks super good. I'm loving the aesthetic. It's made by the same people who did This War of Mine. So it's super depressing, but you know, really artsy and nice. Well planned, and doesn't feel like melodramatic like a David Cage game. That red isn't right. Maybe you should make a video about the evolution of your channels. I feel like that is kind of, I don't know. Maybe. I feel like you could go back and look at like the original Star Fox video, the first video I ever edited. and compare that to my editing style now and see the differences. I feel like it's so obvious that I've grown as an editor, in the very least, if not as a streamer as well. That makes sense, Cola. Remember to drink your Pepsi in order to stay hydrated. It's not a Pepsi, and I'm out of it, so all the more reason to be almost done with this painting. I almost can do it. It's so close. Like, the battery's almost out, and I feel like I could do it if I just speed up a little bit, but I don't really want to, because I don't want to mess it up. If I just had a little bit more time, I could probably do it. I'm going to hear that click. You'll probably hear it before I do. So it'll be super loud on yours. Actually, it won't, because you guys don't have that mic. I keep forgetting that. You're not listening to that mic, you're listening to this mic over here. I remember the first game you ever streamed on your own Twitch channel. I do not. What was it? I don't know. I need to fix that. That's not the right color. The forest. Was it the forest? Huh. What a weird choice. There's some stuff that I look back, especially on older videos, I'm just like, what am I doing? What were you doing there, man? But, you know, people stuck around, so I guess it was alright. Alright, well, I'm this close to being done. But that was the click. I don't know if you heard it. Forest just came out of early access. That is true. I like Golden Paint more than I like Liquitex. I probably want to go over another coat of like white blue when I get a chance, but let me do something I don't normally do. I guess I shouldn't say don't normally do, because, like, you know, this whole thing is new to me. Let me put the lens cap back on. I gotta be careful when I'm putting the lens cap on to not put paint on the inside of the cap. Alright. Untape, you guys. Probably looks super weird, but hi, Mo. See if I can get you guys a little bit. Ooh, okay, closer. It's looking okay. I'm liking it so far. The color values that you're seeing versus the color values that are in reality are a little bit different, but it's going all right. It's going all right. Needs a little bit of a white line right there. A couple little touches up here and there. This needs to go away. Like this bit right here. Anything to the left of the black brown there doesn't need to exist. But it's going good. It's got a very fluffy texture to it. I think if I clean up the blue around here, I'll fix a lot of the problems that I'm having with it. And if I add the legs. But I'm pretty close to being done. It looks more distinctly cross up close. Let me see if what if I move the painting to you guys? Ooh. Yeah, he looks mad. Or she. I keep saying he. It's a she. Well, I don't have the tape anymore. So I guess that's where I'm ending the stream. You don't need to add legs. It's just hovering out of pure anger. Yeah, I'll finish this one off stream. And I'll see you guys, I guess, as far as the rest of this painting on the this weekend's Artcade video. Again, Mother's Day is coming up. It will be this Sunday. So this video will actually come out on Mother's Day. Hopefully I'll actually give it to her before then, so that way she doesn't see it through this. I really hope she didn't see it before now. But anyway, I hope you guys liked it. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. Either way, I'm gonna bounce. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!